Okay, hello, this is video lecture number 13, Towards a New Society, the Middle Colonies. We have three different sections today: growth and inequality, cultural diversity, and religious identity and political conflict. Unlike New England, the Middle Colonies of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania had a mixture of different peoples with diverse religious and ethnic backgrounds. Quakers were the dominant group in Pennsylvania and also were highly influential in New Jersey. In the 18th century, they were followed by three waves of Germans and large numbers of Scots-Irish. The Middle Colonies prospered, largely because of a growing demand for wheat in Western Europe. However, by the middle of the century, this prosperity had turned a system offering early equality into one with increasing social divisions. Tensions continued and could sometimes be traumatic. But many ethnic and religious groups developed self-governing churches and created an increasingly open and competitive political system. This religious, ethnic, and political pluralism was a distinctively American phenomenon. So let's begin our look at Towards a New Society, the Middle Colonies, with our first section, economic growth and social inequality. Fertile lands and long growing seasons attracted migrants to the Middle Atlantic, and profits from grain exports financed their rapid settlement. The manorial lords of New York's Hudson River Valley attracted tenants by granting long leases and the right to sell their improvements, such as barns and houses, onto the next tenant. So it was attractive to rent these properties. However, inefficient farm implements kept most tenants from saving enough money to eventually acquire their own freehold farmsteads. Rural Pennsylvania and New Jersey were initially marked by relative economic equality. The rise of the wheat trade and an influx of poor settlers created social divisions, resulting in a new class of agricultural capitalists. By the 1760s, one half of all white men in the Middle Atlantic owned no property. Merchants and artisans then took advantage of the supply of labor and organized an outwork manufacturing system. As colonies became crowded and continually socially divided, farm families feared a return to peasant status. Okay, here's our next section, cultural diversity. The Middle Colonies were a patchwork of ethnically and religiously diverse communities. Migrants tried to preserve their cultural identities by marrying within their own ethnic groups or by maintaining the customs of their native lands. Quakers, who were the dominant social group in Pennsylvania, were pacifists who dealt peaceably with Native Americans, and they condemned slavery. The Quaker vision attracted many Germans who were fleeing war and religious persecution and poverty in their original nations. Germans guarded their language and cultural heritage closely, encouraging their children to marry within their community. Immigrants from Ireland formed the largest group of incoming Europeans. Most were Presbyterian Scots-Irish, who had faced discrimination and economic regulation back in Ireland. Thousands of these Scots-Irish sailed for Philadelphia beginning in the 1720s, first moving to central Pennsylvania and southward down the Shenandoah Valley into Maryland and then eventually into Virginia. The Scots-Irish also preserved their culture, holding firm to their Presbyterian faith. Okay, let's move on then to our very last section, which is religious identity and political conflict. German ministers criticized the separation of church and state in Pennsylvania, believing the church needed legal power to enforce morality. Religious sects in Pennsylvania enforced moral behavior through communal self-discipline. Communal sanctions then sustained a self-contained and prosperous Quaker community. In the 1740s, the Scots-Irish Presbyterians challenged Quaker political dominance by demanding a more aggressive Indian policy, which of course the Quakers were opposed to. Many German migrants opposed the Quakers because they were denied fair representation in the assembly, and they wanted laws that respected their inheritance customs. The region's cultural and religious diversity prefigured the ethnic and social conflicts that would characterize much of American society in the centuries to come. Okay, so this does conclude our video lecture for today. Please address the review questions at the bottom of the page.